Activision devs do not play their own game. It's not your dad doesn't support you.
You should know, you worked at a coffee shop, you stupid bitch.
My name is Casey, and absolutely not fucking Tanner, because my parents don't hate me that much.
Hey, did they have just 8 patches lined up, but they just didn't release them because they were on break? No, you moron kids.
Then we'll, of course, get into it. Change your fucking name and get scammed. He's feeling under the weather.
I probably won't say another word until Stay Humble, so have a good pod, Raz. I'll be here listening.
Got it. We're back. Welcome. We are recording. Welcome back to the Dropshot Patreon bonus ep number 110. We did it, boys and girls. The fifth and final bonus ep of the month. As I said, we wanted to wait until after COD next, and I'm fucking glad we did. And the beta. I'm really glad we did. So today, we were hoping today to be doing a Patreon episode on, I was hoping to do one on DMZ, which was overly optimistic, and I knew that. I didn't really expect to get any intel drops on DMZ by now, but I was hoping for an intel drop, you know, any intel drop, which was, again, fairly optimistic, but I thought that was possible. We didn't get one, though.
Yeah.
So we held out hope. We didn't know what we were going to do today, until today. So with no intel drop, we really can't wait any longer. So we are recording. Today's the 28th of September, in case you're curious. And so what we're going to do instead is we did get an unofficial intel drop. So we're going to do one on that. So there's some guy on... First, actually, do we have any announcements? Not really, huh?
I just have a question.
Okay.
You're a chow mein or rice guy? You
Rice.
order Chinese? You get rice, really?
Fried rice, specifically.
Oh, okay, fried rice, all right.
Yeah.
Thought
Yeah.
you meant like white rice, like an asshole.
I
Okay.
don't like all the dog shit vegetables they put in chow mein.
Really depends where you get it from, yeah. Some places put, I mean...
Like leaves.
Some pieces
Or
put
like
an
the
entire
long
piece
shit.
of onion in there. Yeah, then they put those
Yeah.
other things that are like... Sometimes they're like hard almost. You are right. I get that. I like that, but I can definitely understand why people don't, and that varies a lot. I'm just curious. I'm eating some chow mein right now. Love it.
The noodles themselves are super good.
Yeah. Excellent.
But you can very rarely find them without all the dog shit, you know?
These
And I
ones are
usually-
like that. These ones have nothing.
Really? Yeah,
They're
I
from,
would prefer that then.
It's from that chain place over by Chick-fil-A. Chopsticks House? Pickup Sticks?
Oh, pickup sticks.
I don't love pickup
okay.
sticks. This isn't even my favorite chow mein, but this has nothing in it. It's literally just the noodles.
I like that when I can find it. It's just super rare though.
Mm-hmm.
But in fried rice, I like pretty much everything they add to fried rice. The egg is good,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. The rice, the peas, I fucking love peas.
Yeah.
I'm such a big peas guy. I don't know why, I just love peas. Carrots are good too. What else do they put in fried rice? I think there's some other
peas.
trash.
The carrots are the best part. I love carrots.
I like
When they're
carrots
cooked
quite
like
a
that,
bit.
too. A lot of chow
I
mein.
like peas better, but I like
a lot of
carrots
places
too.
put the carrots in the chow mein too, which I love. Like some thick, wide
Yeah,
slices
mhm.
of carrot. That I like.
Yeah. Dude, my dad, I had short ribs last night, and my dad cuts up 100 carrots and puts them in the crock pot with the beef short ribs.
Uh-huh.
Fuck me, dude. They are so good. Because they just absorb, because
Yeah.
carrots are good, and then they absorb all that meat juice, dude.
Mhm.
Oh my fucking god, they're so good, dude. I could eat 1 billion of them. Just little
That's my
slices
favorite
of-
part about
They're
like
so fucking good.
beef stew, or if people make pot roast in a crock pot or whatever and put carrots in there. That's the best part of it, is eating
Yep.
those carrots.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah,
Big
really
carrot
good.
fan.
Yeah, I'm a big carrot guy. But a carrot though, fuck you. If you like dip just a carrot in like, what do people dip it in, ranch or something? Go fucking.
I'll
go fuck
eat it if
yourself.
I'm somewhere and they have like some dog shit little appetizer tray, but that's something I never buy for myself to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you got to cook a carrot to make it good. to unlock its potential. But
True.
anyway, yeah. Other than that, I don't think we have any other real announcements for the Patreon. We did it. Hope you guys enjoyed the bonus eps this month. And if you're a new patron, by the way, it is fairly normal for us to do most of the bonus episodes toward the end of the month, because that's when Call of Duty likes to release things. There have been times when we get a new season, you know, in the first week of the month, and in those cases, we will do bonus episodes sooner in the month. But usually, for whatever fucking reason, every new season or mid-season update, by the way, mid-season update today, the fucking 28th of September, like everything they do is always like at the end of the month. So we kind of just put everything there because we want to do the most up-to-date bonus episodes possible. So if you're like seething that this is all at the end of the month, hey, it will be in the future probably, but blame Activision also. So other than that, yeah, I don't think we have any announcements really. I feel like we do, but I guess not. I don't know. Whatever. If we do, you'll figure it out. And fuck you. You know? What are your thoughts on that, patrons?
Let's see what it says. The 28th. We got early month. Yeah, there's actually not shit going on. There's probably not going to be. We're going to have to do the Patreon episodes early. This next month, obviously. Because Modern Warfare doesn't release until October 28th. So we'll have to have everything done by then.
Yeah, that's correct, unfortunately.
We'll do a campaign episode next month. If you guys want to, we ask you guys this a lot. People don't usually ever give much input. If you guys have an idea for an episode or something you want to like even see us touch on, let us know. Something that could be interesting even for this next month is wonder if we almost do like a MW 2, Warzone 2 type specific patron Q&A thing if we can't think of other specific ideas. Maybe there are questions that we haven't answered that people have been curious about or thoughts that they have they can ask in Discord or something. That could be kind of fun because other than that, I'm not doing an episode on Warzone 1 on Patreon next month. I'm sorry. If you want Warzone 1 episodes, don't resubscribe in October because you're not getting any.
Yeah, that's correct.
You shouldn't want any.
Warzone 1. Yeah, we're just done. And we'll talk about that more on tomorrow on Thursday. But we canceled the episode. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good content to do for Patreon next month. Because I think what I would like to do also is a lot of like prep. You know, because we definitely are going to get some more info on things next month for sure. Like we're going to learn what DMZ is before the game launches.
Yeah, I'm curious how much info they're actually going to give us for DMZ, because they did say they would do like an intel drop and talk more about DMZ closer to launch, but I'm curious if it's going to be Tarkov-esque in the sense that they don't tell us a whole lot and you just play the game, or if they're going to like do like an intel drop and say this is what you do, this is how you play, or if they're just going to do like a very basic, this is the map, there's AI and shit, there's 100 players. That's what I'm curious about. So yeah, we should get that next month. That'll probably be a bonus ep or something. Yeah.
So next month's going to be good. And even if we didn't get like any new info, which we will, but still, I think there's something, I think there's an episode about something like preparing for MW 2, like what you should do.
Yeah.
You know, like what classes should you expect to be making? Some general rules of thumb to keep in mind. Hey, if you're going to be leveling an SMG, sprint to fire is your most important thing and don't put an optic on it. Like there are things we could do like that. And we might do that, but it's going to depend on how much info we get and shit. But it's going to be a good month regardless. So today, though, we're not talking about that. We're not doing prep. We are doing an episode on Warzone 2. First, we have another little news item.
Yeah, do you even want to talk about this, or do you want to talk about it tomorrow?
If you want.
Yeah,
let's just talk about it tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it tomorrow then.
So, Metaphor is some guy. I don't know who this is. I've heard his name a bunch, and I've seen him everywhere. Is he like a video maker, or like a streamer, or
you watch
CDL
Metaphor.
player?
You don't know who Metaphor is? No, he's he's the one of the most god tier Warzone K-Bam players out there. He's
Really?
insane.
Oh.
That's why everything he tweets is about aim assist. He hates controller players probably more than anyone in the world. He like literally
Really?
despises them. Yeah,
That's
he
saying
wants
a
them
lot.
all to die pretty much. He fucking
That's
hates them.
saying a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, anyway. Apparently this guy has
Oh, wait. I got that on my
a...
soundboard. I haven't used that in a while.
Yeah, go ahead and
There we go.
start it. Oh, that was pretty fast.
Yeah, I guess.
Did the
it's
app
prepped.
update help it?
Mm.
Oh no, you did the intro already. Yeah.
Yeah, I did,
What was I gonna say? Yeah, he has a source or something. Tanner was telling me that he's been right about a lot of things. He can get more into that. But yesterday, he tweeted out Warzone 2 update and then a series of emojis.
Change it.
Well, here's the reason why people do this, by the way. If this infuriates you as much as it probably should, the reason they do this, because this would infuriate me also, but I know why they do it. Obviously, it's so that they can't get DMCA'd by Activision. So for example, the first line is a robot emoji, a map emoji, and then a red X emoji. And what he's trying to say is there won't be any AI on the Warzone 2 map anymore.
Yep.
Like there was at COD Next. And the reason he's using emojis is it's very obvious, and also he can't get DMCA'd by Activision. Because people have leaked things before and tweeted like words, and then Activision tells Twitter, they're connected Twitter, which they definitely have. Hey, you need to ban this account or delete this tweet or something. But if some guy says Warzone 2 update and then some hieroglyphics, you can't DMCA it. Even if it's like very obvious. That's the reason they do this. It is fucking cringe and it pisses me
Engagement
off.
too.
And yeah, but it's a good it's a clever strategy, and this is the only way they do it. I mean, he either tweets this or nothing at all. So if it pisses you off, just keep
Actually,
that in
no,
mind.
I don't think he can even get DMCA'd for just spelling it out in words. I mean, Tom does shit like that all the time. All the leakers do. They don't get DMCA'd unless it's an image. I think he just does it to be annoying, and it's probably for engagement because he gets hundreds of comments because people are trying to guess. Oh, does this mean this? Whereas if he tweets out exactly what it is, people just like it, and that's it, and then they move on. Way less engagement. Smart guy.
Maybe that is why. I feel like, because yeah, Tom has just said things and not gotten taken down.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it is cringe then. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Either way, he tweeted a bunch of emojis, and then some guy replied, deciphering the emojis. And here was the list. So Warzone 2 update. No AI on the map. There will still be AI in the strongholds, however. There are going to be loadout and perks. And then the looting system is going to be the old system where you open a crate and all the loot is strewn on the ground instead of opening like an interface.
Dinner bell emoji.
And then Metaphor replied with... So,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's the...
Light at the sound light.
Yeah. So that's the tweet. That's Metaphor's tweet.
Yeah.
So we want to today, in light of this, a couple things. First of all, this is unofficial. It's a leak. It's possible that some or none of this is true. I find that unlikely for two reasons. Number one, he's been right about a lot of things, and he obviously has some inside connect. This is what Tanner has said. I believe Tanner. He can talk more about it if he wants. And number two, all of this is very super believable. So on those two criteria, I believe all of this.
Yeah.
There have been times where, leaks have come out, like Doug from Modern Warzone, saying there's going to be animals on the Warzone map. And I said, probably not. Probably not.
There are birds in the sky for sure, but there's not giraffes walking around that you can, you can slice its head off and then it gives you a loadout drop after you drink its blood or something, like Doug thought.
Correct.
Retard,
yes.
by the way, yeah.
So he met, Doug at that time had met one of the two criteria, which is he's had some leaks be right in the past at that time. So maybe, so like he definitely has some kind of connect or connections or whatever. But the leak was wildly unbelievable. So then I was like, yeah, this is probably not true.
Yeah.
It's probably misinterpretation. But I think metaphors meant kind of both.
Yeah, and Metaphor, we talked about it a little bit before COD Next. He tweeted out some things exactly 1 week before Call of Duty Next, and he was right about every single thing that he said. Because he's not tweeting, if he had tweeted about this 6 months ago, I would have been like, okay. But at this point in the game, he does obviously know what's going on. I actually have a Black Helicopter's take. I think J-God feeds him info. Him and J-God are buddies. J-God never talks about leaks or anything. Every time, though, he posts these J-God like comments on it. They interact all the time. They're in each other's streams all the time. J-God talks about Metaphor a lot. That's my Black Helicopter's take, that J-God knows shit and he gives it to Metaphor to type out instead of him doing it. So before COD Next, he said this, Warzone 2 update. This is a week before Call of Duty Next, before he had seen any gameplay. NPCs are in the map randomly. That was true. They were outside of AI. Outside the stronghold. Container-based looting as well as floor loot. That was right. Different size backpacks for storage space. That was right. New contracts. That was right, I think. I never paid attention to that. Helicopter from high rise is usable. I don't know, probably. There are like 4 different types of helicopters.
There are usable helicopters, so I'd be shocked if it wasn't, yeah.
No more toxic gas into the map. It's now a dust storm. He was right. Tires can be shot out from cars. He was right. There's now been leaked footage of the tires can take 10, 12 bullets. They explode, and then you have to get out and repair it. You have to hold down F. It takes like 2 or 3 seconds, and it repairs the tire, and it's back on again. He was right about all those. He talked about cars have fuel. They do. Shooting out of cars, you can do that. He talked about that. Slide canceling won't be in the beta. He talked about that. No loadouts. That was the big one he said before COD Next. And then he also talked about, he made a little cryptic tweet at one point, I can't find it now, about the 3 storm patterns. He was the first one to tweet about that too.
Oh.
So he's been right about literally everything. So I 100% think this is all real. And he actually has some sort of source that is telling him things. So
yeah.
I think
so in light of that, yeah, for sure. So, and I'm with you. So in light of that, we are going to do an episode on this. So we're kind of broken this up into 2 little sections here. First, we're going to talk about each of these leaks. There are 3/4. And then secondly, assuming all this shit is true, how is Warzone 2 going to look? Again, assuming if all this is true. So first, the leaks. This is kind of 2 in 1. One thing he said is there's going to be no AI on the map. And then the second thing he said is their AI is going to be only in the strongholds. This is kind of, these are 2 sides of the same coin. This is obviously, of course, a good thing. I don't have much to say on this. I'm not surprised they're doing this. It would be easy for Activision to just remove the AI from the map and relegate them only to strongholds. This is also the correct, of course, decision.
Yeah.
Tanner and I talked about this recently when we had learned there will be AI just mobbing around. And then I made the point, like, you'll definitely lose it. You'll get second place in Warzone because AI kills you because you just got unlucky. And that's absurd and should never happen. So take the AI out of the map and put them only in the strongholds. I stand by that assessment, and I'm glad the AI are no longer going to be on the map. Also, another kind of good thing about this is going to make the performance better, and it'll probably make your connection better too. Because the more, like, if you're putting a bunch of AI on the map, that's going to, like, slow you down a lot. Probably more than you guys would think, in fact. Especially on a map this big. For any of you who have ever played Escape from Tarkov, if you do an offline raid and you max out the number of like scavs in that raid, your performance will be really shit. I don't know if it's really shit for the entire raid or if it's just while they load in, but you'll spend like 30 seconds like just with like 10 frames because your computer is just fucking struggling to populate all these AI. And now imagine that, obviously wouldn't have been that dense, but imagine that, you know, online as well and connecting to other players and shit. So I think the performance will probably be markedly better than it otherwise would have been. But far more importantly, I have a good computer, because I'm 30. Arrested Development. I want this for, the gameplay. And I think this is good. And the AI being in the strongholds, I think needs to be the case, because otherwise, why have strongholds? It would literally just be some place you go to and pick up an item, and then I guess maybe that would be fine, but I think it makes sense to have the AI there so that it, not because they're dangerous or anything, but because it'll slow you down enough to where it's not like you can just sit on a stronghold, wait for the timer, wait for them to be like active, and then just immediately run in and get your loadout or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that would be the strat. And it still might be, but I think the AI in strongholds makes sense. I'm very glad they're not on the map.
Yeah, and I thought it was supposed to be that way the entire time. And I think some of the content creators that went to COD Next that made videos on it, I think they did mention something about like, AI I thought was like only supposed to be in the strongholds, but they were around the map. So that could have just been like bugged or something too. Because I remember talking about that in one of our public episodes where I was like, J-God was not in a stronghold when they said that's where AI is. And I watched an AI start shooting at him in the building that he was in, which was outside of a stronghold. So that was probably just more bugged than anything, honestly. But yeah, I don't want AI in the game. I'm open to the change, though. I'm open to trying it. We'll see how it goes. But if they're only in strongholds and you can just avoid them, possibly totally, and we'll get into that why in a second, but then I don't see a massive issue with it. Because there's nothing more annoying, like you're saying, than being on a burner or something, doing really good, your squad's clicking, you guys are getting kills, then you come across some little town, and it's like just filled with AI. Or there's like random AI shooting at you. It's just like, really? I don't want to fight AI right now. I just want to find more players, man. It goes from me, killing all these players, doing really fun, to now just annoying AI shooting at me. Not that they're going to be difficult to kill, but it's just like kills my vibe. It's like, why are we doing this in a BR? It just doesn't make any sense. So
I agree.
But I'm open to the stronghold thing. We'll see how that goes. So obviously they shouldn't be anywhere on the map, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So not too much to say on that. This is the big one. Actually, you know what? It's so big, we're going to put it last. Next one is the old looting. No menu when looting. So basically how it worked at COD Next, when you opened a crate, it's like a box, it would pull up a menu. It would basically like auto open. Same way when you go to a buy station, it like opens your backpack and it opens the buy station menu. So then it's like you get a free cursor on keyboard and mouse, whatever. It opens the menu thing. But in Warzone 1, when you open a crate, it just throws the loot that was in the crate on the ground, and then you could pick it up. And then at COD Next, Warzone 2, when you opened a crate, it would open a menu. Like, it would show your backpack, and then it would show the inventory of the crate. And you'd have to, like, click whatever loot or however. And everyone was, like, seething at this.
Yeah, people are like, oh, this is how X game is, or X game was, and it's like, okay. But we've had it for 2 years in Warzone, and this is like one of the top 3 things what makes his BR good or better than others.
Yeah. So like the first thing I thought of when I saw that was like, oh wow, this is like Tarkov. That's exactly like Tarkov. You go up to a duffel bag, loot it, and then it opens like the bag inventory or whatever.
Yeah.
But Tarkov isn't Warzone. So that was really shit, and the old looting system was perfectly serviceable. The only downside of the old looting system, where you open the box and it just throws everything on the ground, is that it's less realistic, which is true. But if you want to add realism, not at the expense of gameplay, I'm in favor of it. But this would have been at the expense of gameplay. I didn't like it because it looked clunky. You lost like vision of things around you, and it was slower. Those were my immediate concerns. But today I was thinking about it, and the biggest problem would have been if I open a box and then I start getting shot at.
Yep.
I'm just omega fucked. But in Warzone 1, if it doesn't give me a menu, I have a chance. This is exactly the same as, I'll just ask it this way. Would you rather be shot in Warzone 1 while opening a crate or while opening the buy station? And we all know the answer, obviously. The buy station you can't see. You have to press an extra button to get out of the menu to even be able to start looking around. It's a disaster. And I've regularly died at buy stations where I probably wouldn't, or I'd have a way better chance if I had just opened a box.
Yeah.
That's actually the biggest deal after some thought, and that would have been a real fucking mess. And that would have really pissed me off. Because I'd have to, like, open a box, I'm fucking looting, someone starts shooting me. I'd have to, like, lift up my hand and fucking go to my escape key. Or I'd have to pinpoint accurate press the tiny little X on my 1440p 240 hertz IPS panel monitor. Neither of which are going to be super quick. So that would have been the biggest problem. And I'm glad they went back to the old system. It doesn't look as cool. It's not as realistic looking. I don't care. Because the detriment to gameplay would not have been worth the added realism at all. So this is really good. And again, I believe it. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the biggest complaints. I don't think I saw any of the people at COD Next say they like this. Everyone was always just like, it's annoying, takes longer, whatever, though. Or it was just like, no, there's no reason to do this. Not sure why they had to go backwards with that. But, you just see, like, kids on Twitter, saying just dumb shit like, oh, it's not a big deal. This game had it or whatever. Oh, it's like Blackout or some, I don't know. I didn't play Blackout, so. But yeah, I mean, this is huge. Because when we watched this at COD Next, I mean, one of the very first things I noticed when they open a chest, I literally thought, I'm like, dude, why? Why are we making a change like that? There's in zero ways does this improve the quality of the gameplay whatsoever. Nothing.
Totally agree.
So obviously, this is something I wasn't sure they would change. I was a little worried. It was one of my biggest critiques, though, and it's just a basic, simple improvement on their end. That for the players that play the game hours a day, this is a massive difference for us. So for them to make probably such an easy change, we get a ton of benefit out of it. So I'm really glad this will be changed. Because it's just. Oh my god, it was so annoying. It's like, it's because people hadn't played before, but these dudes were opening up chests that had like 3 or 4 items in it, and they would have it open for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, trying to think of like, oh, I should take this, drop this from my backpack. Like, yes, we would have gotten a lot faster over time, but again, unnecessary. Just drop it on the ground like we have in Warzone. You already have ground loot anyways. Why either have all ground loot or all chest loot if you're going to do it that way? It was weird. So, good change.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last thing, of course, loadouts and perks. So, this is big. And this is not surprising at all. Tanner kind of figured this out too, or touched on it, I think, when he was talking about the loadout field upgrade in the beta and multiplayer. It's like, what the fuck is the purpose of this? Like, why would they code this in for multiplayer? It doesn't make any sense. So then you're like, well, okay, they're either really stupid and just wanted a completely useless multiplayer perk or field upgrade, which is possible, but it's so dumb that I find that unlikely. Or they just added it to multiplayer, but they principally coded it for either DMZ or Warzone 2. And I think this is, again, super believable. And this also harkens back to something I said a long time ago, that you'd have to be out of your mind to think there won't be loadouts in Warzone 2. This was a long time ago that I said this. Like, this is what makes Warzone a different BR. Mm-hmm. And what we saw at COD Next really didn't even feel like Call of Duty. It didn't look very much like Call of Duty. Just looked like a BR. like a slightly faster paced PUBG.
Yeah,
like
from the gameplay we saw, PUBG vibes strong.
Yeah. So not only does this not surprise me, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the plan all along, that they were going to have loadouts in Warzone 2. I don't know why they would choose to not show that at COD Next, however. There might be some reasons. Maybe they didn't want to. I don't know.
Could be really buggy still. Who knows?
Yeah, something like that. Who knows? But I believe this a lot. So, is this a good thing? Yeah, I think so. The way it worked at COD Next was you could buy a custom weapon. That was it. You couldn't like buy a loadout. Nor could you really unlock one any other way.
Yeah.
So what we don't know from this is how it works. So there will be loadouts and perks in Warzone 2. That could mean a lot of things, actually. It could mean you buy a loadout drop like in Warzone 1. It could mean the only way to get a loadout drop is from finishing a stronghold. That's totally possible. It could be that it's a field upgrade you buy instead of, well, that's, yeah, it is a field upgrade you buy, never mind. And then also this could imply there are lootable perks coming back, because there will be perks in the game. That's all he said. They're almost certainly going to be tied to loadouts, but on top of that, they also could be loot like they are now in Warzone 1. And then the questions continue. How much will a loadout cost? Can everyone in the team use it? Because here's another thing. If my custom weapon costs $14,000, like it did at COD Next, okay, well, how much would a loadout for one person be? Because that's an extra custom weapon, plus perks, plus equipment, plus, yeah, that's it. So you would think that would be more expensive.
Yeah.
25,000. Okay. But then can I buy a loadout crate for the whole team that can use it? Because that's not how it works at COD Next. At COD Next, I could buy myself my one gun for $14K. So it would be very strange to add a loadout drop everyone can hit for $20K. Why the fuck would anyone ever buy their own gun? No one would ever use that. So it would be obsolete. So the only way it would make sense to add a loadout drop that the whole team can hit once, like in Warzone 1, it would have to cost actually $60,000. Is that how it's going to be implemented? Maybe each person has to buy their own crate and it costs $25,000. Who knows? I don't know how to make the numbers work though.
Yeah.
Because a loadout drop that functions the way it does in Warzone 1, for that to be in line with the cost of just one loadout gun, like $14K, $15K, it would have to be astronomically expensive. And I don't really see them doing that, so I don't know how that works. And then another question, are there going to be free loadout drops?
Yep.
If there will be, why would I ever buy a gun or a loadout? Because either the loadout's going to be super expensive, or it's going to be for me only, and then less expensive. And why wouldn't I just buy UAVs and precisions and self-reses and shit? Why would I ever buy a loadout or a gun? There are so many questions. And then here's another question. How the fuck are the perks going to work? Because we have the regular ass perks, a bonus perk, which in multiplayer you unlock in X minutes into the match, and then an ultimate perk, which is you unlock Y minutes into the match. X plus Y minutes into the match. So how is that going to work? Are the perks going to be time gated? Are you going to even get bonus perks? Are you going to get ultimate perks? Or is it going to be like basic perks only in Warzone?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to adjust prices massively from COD Next? That could be the case too.
Yeah, that we talked about that a lot too, because there were a bunch of people freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, like you, like a teams not even going to be able to get their loadout guns because it costs so much. And I was like, well, settle down. The prices will absolutely be adjusted a ton. That's something you don't need to worry about at all. But I think you brought up a lot of good points that I hadn't thought about. Like, if we get a free loadout drop, and then you're right, and we can buy a loadout drop. I responded to Metaphor's tweet and asked if you purchase them or if it's free loadout. He only responded to like 2 people, so I probably won't get a response. But if I do, we'll talk about that on tomorrow's pod. But yeah, so it's like, if you get a free one and or you can purchase them, then where does the custom loadout guns fall? Is that just being wiped entirely?
Yeah.
There would be no reason to have it when you unless, like you said, it's some weird pricing. That's something I hadn't thought about actually.
Oh, and another thing, why would I ever do a stronghold for a gun?
Yep, exactly. So that was the next thing I'd written down. Where do strongholds stand then? Currently, the big thing with strongholds was take over a stronghold, and I believe everyone on your team got 1 free loadout gun. So they would go to the buy station, and it would be free. The buy station, I think every stronghold has its own buy station. You go to that, and it becomes free. So, okay, if we get loadout drops, what's a stronghold going to do? The more we're talking about it, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of leaning towards there won't be free loadout drops. You'll have to buy it. And maybe that's where strongholds do come into play. Maybe you get either a much cheaper one, or maybe you have to go to a stronghold to use that type of buy station or something to purchase it. So you can loot up outside it, get a bunch of money, go in the stronghold, kill the last few AI or something. I don't know. Maybe something like that. It's weird. It's very weird. Because in the current state with what we've seen, I'm not sure how all these things mesh together between the strongholds, the loadout systems, and the loadout guns you can buy. So, I don't know. And then another thing that they said in a blog post, they specifically stated there will be no perks in Warzone at launch. Because we had talked about that, and we said at launch, okay. So that means they can very likely come, but at what point? That's the other thing you got to think about with this tweet Metaphor put out. These changes may be getting implemented. This may not be how the game is on launch, though. The game still very well. Warzone still may launch with how we saw it at COD Next, and these changes come, who knows, a month later, January. If we don't get it on launch, then I wouldn't expect working loadouts until 2023, because then we're going to be in the holiday season, and they're not going to be updating the game very often. So it either comes on launch or we're not seeing it till next year. But yeah, so I mean, obviously they can go back on what they said, and you know, Activision Studios do that often. But they did specifically state there will be no perks in Warzone launch. But maybe they saw so much negative feedback regarding the system in Warzone too that they were like, oh fuck, all right, let's change this back. It's easy enough. It's coded in the game. We've had it before. We know how to do it. Let's get this working for launch.
Yeah. Welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure that crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in a fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code DROPSHOT for 20% off and free shipping. Whether you're brand new or already with us at Manscaped, you could use the crown jewel of care for your family jewels, the Platinum Package 4.0. With this glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside the 10-part Platinum Package is everything you know and love about the Performance Package, plus some shower goodies included to elevate your grooming game to platinum. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof so you can keep scaping even as the weather's changing. You can also upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. And of course, don't forget the aluminum-free Ultra Premium deodorant. And it is not pumpkin spice, luckily. It is cologne quality fragrance. It smells really good. You also get the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to make sure your go-to smell is top shelf and not sweaty balls. Also with the Platinum Package 4.0, 2 free gifts. Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT. Once again, 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use code DROPSHOT. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunk's time to shine. So, I'll also say there are a lot of questions, but here, ultimately, by Season 2, it's going to be relatively easy to get a loadout for your whole team. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what that will entail, but they're not going to make a loadout way fucking harder to get than it is in Warzone 1. Because again, this is the draw of their game, and I think they know that. So,
well, they didn't for COD Next.
Well, yeah. They didn't for COD Next, and yeah, who knows why. But whether that means they add free loadie drops, or they decrease the price, or they make strongholds easier, or they unlock strongholds sooner. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, but they're not going to make loadouts super hard to get or super expensive. That's just not going to be the case. So the questions are interesting questions. I don't know the answers, obviously, but there will be something they do that makes getting a loadout easy enough. About as easy as it is now. I'll also add, it won't be as easy as it is now. I don't think you'll be getting loadies as quickly in Warzone 2 as you can in Warzone 1.
Yeah.
Like, if there's free loadie drops, I doubt they happen as quickly. And if you can buy them, I bet you it'll be a little harder than in Warzone 1, at least early on in Warzone 2. Because it seems like they don't want a bunch of loadouts, but the players are just making them do it. So,
exactly.
So I think they're going to appease the player base by adding them, but they're gonna want what they wanted originally, and that's gonna mean making them a little harder. But ultimately, they're not gonna be that hard to get. I just don't know how they're gonna get there, but they will. That's one thing I would add. So then the only really interesting question to me is, how are the perks going to work? First of all, I really hope there are no lootable perks. I very, very much hope that there are no lootable perks. I didn't like it in Warzone 1, and then I thought it wasn't that big of a deal, and then I came back around and I was like, yeah, this is dog shit. I really don't like it. And I would not like it at all in Warzone 2 for the exact same reasons. But again, you're guaranteed 2, and then there's the bonus in the ultimate perk. How would that be implemented in Warzone? It seems like there would be 3 options. Option 1, there are no bonus or ultimate perks in Warzone. You pick up your loadout, it comes with the 2 base perks you selected, and that's it. Which I kind of like, honestly. Option 2, when you pick up your loadout, you get all 4 perks immediately. There's no time gate. And then option 3 is there is a time gate. If you pick up a loadout, then you unlock the potential to unlock your bonus and ultimate perks as the match goes on. I think that's the worst solution. I think option 2 is slightly better. But, well, actually, I think option 2 is the worst option. Because if you time gate Ghost, which is the ultimate perk everyone would use if it was in Warzone, that would at least make the game fun until ultimate perks get unlocked. Option 3 would be... Yeah, so option 2 would be the worst. Option 3 would be slightly better. Option 1, where it's just like you only have your base perks when you get your loadout, I think that would be great. I think that would be fantastic, actually. I think that would be the best way they can do it. However, would they? Probably not. I feel like they would want to implement all their perks. If they're going to add perks, it's weird to me that they would just disallow bonus and ultimate perks, honestly. I don't know. Maybe they would.
This system doesn't seem to make sense at all for Warzone, which again makes you think they weren't or they had some other system in mind, which is why they knew they weren't going to be there on launch. Another thing, I mean,
you could buy perks.
That's what I was about to say. Maybe you get your loadout drop, and that's already, you know, fairly hard to get, costs a little bit more based on the amount of money that's on the map compared to like current Caldera or something. And then if you want perks, you have to buy them. And that I would actually be open to. Because they already kind of have that UI on the buy stations. They already had it set up like there was a streak section. There was a few different tabs that you go into when you access a buy station. So that could easily be set up for a perk one. And, you know, maybe some shittier perks that aren't necessarily as good, like something like Scavenger. It's like a $3,000-$4,000 perk. Something like Ghost is a $10,000 perk. That's honestly a pretty good way to balance it, I think. I would rather have that in the game than getting perks strictly from a loadout.
How would overkill work, though? It just wouldn't be... they just wouldn't add it to that menu, right?
Yeah, good question. Maybe you can't get to primary guns. Yeah, they could change a lot of things like that.
Uh-huh.
That would actually... Honestly, I would love to see Warzone without overkill. I would love to see a proper Warzone where you had to think and have like, all right, we got one guy that's going to snipe. You're going to get your loadout drop with your custom sniper. We got 2 guys running ARs, and we got 1 guy running an SMG. That would be interesting to see. Not saying it'd be better, but I would love to see Warzone in that way, where you can't get a bunch of loadouts, and you're kind of like... Again, I think it'd be cool if this Warzone was more team-based than what we've been seeing in the past. Warzone's the only game in the world where kids can go off and 1v4 the whole lobby and still get 40 kills. There's no other BR that exists where you can do that. So I would love to see a more team-oriented game this time around. And, you know, if not everyone's picking up a sniper and a meta hipfire MP5 or something, then I think that would overall make the game play a lot better, too. But, you know, that's kind of out there. Not sure they'd do that. Hold on, my front door's ringing.
Yeah, I like that in theory, but the problem with that is if you wanted to play 4s and win, everyone would have to run a long-range AR. Because people die. So it's like, you know, if you have 2 ARs, a sniper, and a sub, and you're, you know, and you're the last guy alive as a sniper, you're just fucked. Well, you could buy teammates back.
It's a BR. That should happen.
And maybe you deserve to lose. Yeah, true.
That's how the game should play.
True. Yeah, that could be
I would
cool,
really
actually
like to see that. So,
it would be fun. I would like it too. The uproar would be insane, I think.
I don't...
But actually, it would be cool.
No, yeah, all the dipshits would complain about it. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if someone can't have an SMG and an AR, they'll bitch about it. So
yeah,
I don't know, but that could be really interesting to see. Because like obviously you can pick up another gun that's ground loot. There's ground loot guns, but it's just not going to be your meta gun. Hey, and maybe that plays into buying upgrades for your gun too. Maybe that's how you can get loadouts, and then they could also keep the gun upgrade system in. Is you only get one loadout gun or one main gun, and then you get a secondary like a pistol because there's no overkill.
Buying another. Your loadout gun makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. So then you can pick up an MP5 and you're like, all right, I got some extra cash. I'm going to go to the buy station. I'm going to upgrade this thing. I'm going to throw a suppressor on it. I'm going to throw a larger mag on it. That's all I can afford. It's better than using my pistol. So I think stuff like that would be cool. But I mean, there are fucking hundreds of different things they can do with this. So who knows? We're just kind of spitballing here. But like you said, if we all get 4 guaranteed perks from this list, why would anyone take anything other than Ghost from the bonus perk list?
The ultimate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost, High Alert, Hardline, Overclock, Survivor, Bird's Eye. It's Ghost or High Alert, and based on what we've always seen in Warzone 1, statistically, Ghost in this game would have at minimum a 90% pick rate.
And you don't have to be running with Ghost anymore.
Yep.
Or again, I should say. Which would be, so yeah, of course everyone's taking Ghost. You have to be out of your mind to not take Ghost.
So there's no balance at all with this perk system.
And there'd be no reason to ever use UAVs.
Yep. So I don't think they would do that. I think they're that's pretty easy to figure out. You figure that out right away that, oh yeah, everyone will be ghosted in this system. So I don't know. The more we talk about it, the more I'm liking not getting free perks and having to buy them.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would like that too. For sure. For sure.
And there's still like a max number of perks you can do. You know, you can't just buy 15 perks. They're still like you can get a max of 4 or something. But
Yeah,
you
like
have
you
to
can
buy them
hold
separately.
You can hold up to 4 from each, so you can't hold 2 ultimates. You can only have 1.
Yeah.
Just like multiplayer, but you have to buy them to fill those slots. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah. Huh. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to work. I am somewhat worried. I will say this though, even if they do like the worst possible implementation of perks with loadouts, which is to say when you get your loadout, you just automatically get all 4 of your perks. I'd prefer that to what we saw at COD Next still, honestly. Like I'd rather deal with everyone being I'd rather deal with everyone being ghosted but being able to get my loadout than COD Next. To be honest.
If I had to pick one, probably, but I really don't want either of those. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
But
I agree.
You know, I would love to try a Warzone without the perks. Not certain it'd play any better. May play a lot worse. We don't really know, and I would love to see how that plays out in this game, though, because you know there's certain things that there would be downsides, like there's no counters to tacticals or lethals, which could very easily become super meta again, and then that would, once something like that happens, once one guy figures out how busted stuns are and there's no counter to it, then boom, the whole lobby's running stuns, and the game is in a way worse state than if everyone was ghosted, I think.
Dude, the more I think about this, especially based on their groupings, I think it would be so good if when you get loadout, you get your 2 base perks, that's it. There are no bonus or ultimate perks. Because that would address all of your concerns, and then every dogshit perk that we don't want in Warzone would not be in Warzone. Yeah,
because I mean overkill's in that first class, so yeah, people could get both their loadout guns, and then the next big one would be double time, battle hardened, or EOD probably.
Yeah, and then some people would run tracker. You know, so there would still be like some decision making there for the second perk. You know.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be super toxic. There's a lot of things you got to think about though when it comes to balance, because then if Ghost isn't in the game, UAVs are easy enough to get. You're going to be showing up on the radar nonstop no matter what, because so many people in the lobby will be popping UAVs. So I don't know.
There's only like 2 UAVs per buy, at least according to COD Next.
Oh, I forgot about that. They're limited. Yeah,
they'd be less prevalent.
Everything's limited. You're right.
You know,
totally forgot about that. Which is also, I think, a good change overall.
Yeah, and like, that could be annoying, but it's like you could also be the team buying the UAVs. I don't think that's necessarily the end of the world.
Because Ghost and Caldera was in a pretty good spot when they changed it so you had to be moving in order to be ghosted. Like, but then as soon as they added in ground loot perks, it ruined it, because then everyone just picked up Ghost ground loot, and then the whole lobby was ghosted again.
Yeah.
But I mean, it worked better that way, obviously, than Ghost working while you're not moving. Obviously, I'm saying it's better than that, but
yeah, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about this perk system.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think the most elegant, easiest, and best solution for them would be, just when you pick up your loadout, you get everything except bonus and ultimate, and those are just simply not in Warzone. I think it'd be super easy and for them to do, and it would be great for game balance. Because because you'd be able to keep snaps in check, you'd be able to keep rocket frogs in check.
True.
You'd still get your 2 weapons, so people that would be something people would lose their minds about if they couldn't do, so you'd still have that ability. I could maybe even argue that's why Overkill is in this category at all in the first place. Because Overkill's really good, and it's weird they put it in the base category. Maybe this is why. I don't know. That wild speculation, but it's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now, assuming that all these leaks are true, and judging, and based on our experience now having played Modern Warfare 2, so we saw COD Next, we saw Warzone 2. Then we played the MW2 beta. So we played the Warzone 2 game. Like, that's all the mechanics and shit. And then we saw this metaphor leak. Given all of that, how do we think Warzone 2 is going to pan out? And I want to start with this because I think it is a dark cloud over all of Warzone 2. I am still seething at the existence of the armor vest. I think it is so dumb for all of the reasons I mentioned in our COD Next episode. And now that I'm thinking about weapon balance, it gets a lot worse. So I'm just going to read what I've written here. For example, so the armor vest, by the way, when you load into Warzone 2, you have your character health and then you have 2 plates equipped. The difference is between Warzone 1, that's all you can equip on your character. So 2 plates is max plates. However, if you find an item called an armor vest, I think, I'm going to call it an armor vest for the purposes of this, it increases your total max equipable plates to 3. So you increase your health.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to find the item and maybe you can buy it. I don't know. I don't recall seeing that. Because at COD Next, I did not see many people wearing armor vests. So I don't know how it works. But I think it's really catastrophically dumb. So for example, if a shotgun can 1 or 2 tap somebody who has 2 plates, but then if they have 3 plates, it takes 4 or 5 shotgun shots. What do you do there?
Yeah.
Like, I'm absolutely going to run a shotgun if I can 1-tap somebody who doesn't have an armor vest. That probably wouldn't be the case. But even if I can 2-tap someone who doesn't have an armor vest, and then it would be 4 shots if they did have an armor vest, I'm running a 2-tap shotgun, even if it's a pump. That's still really good. Is it? Yes, I think it is. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more, but the point kind of stands. And then how do you balance snipers? There's another question I have. Are all snipers going to one-shot headshot in Warzone 2?
I would imagine they will. Most of them. I think they will.
Okay. Will it one-tap people at any range with a headshot? Will all snipers do it? Will it only one-tap if you have 2 plates? What about if you have an armor vest and 3 plates?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if snipers can only one-tap someone with 2 plates, but not 3, snipers are shit. If they can one-tap anybody with a headshot, then they're really good. And if that's the case, can you upper chest somebody if they haven't found an armor vest yet? Oops. Well, now they're way too good. What about the neck multiplier? Are we going to have that? Because then I just have a super generous headshot box if you haven't found an armor vest yet. That's going to make sniping fucking insane.
Super random, yeah.
How do you balance that? And that's the and then yeah, that's the question. It's like, am I going to use an SMG or a shotgun? That's probably going to depend on how many people I expect to have an armor vest in my game when I'm shooting at them. Because if they have more health, I want a submachine gun. If they have less health, I want a shotgun. This is why the model 870 in MW19 is fucking insane in multiplayer, and it's dog shit in Warzone. Because in multiplayer, it kills in 1 shot from 300 meters away, but it doesn't in Warzone, so it's terrible. So in multiplayer, where the time to kill is faster, shotgun's really good. In Warzone, SMG's way better. That calculus applies when there are armor vests in the game randomly. So I could easily see a situation where a shotgun's better, assuming my enemy has not found an armor vest, and it's a lot worse if they did find an armor vest. Okay. Well, then which gun do I put on my loadout? Do I have to guess how many people I'm going to fight in this match that are going to have an armor vest? Well, on average, it's like 65% of people don't have an armor vest. Okay, cool. I guess I'll gear for that scenario, so I guess I'll use the shotgun. But even if we take shotguns out of the equation, An SMG-A will have a faster time to kill on someone with 2 plates than SMG-B will on someone with 2 plates. But SMG-A will have a faster time to kill on someone, or a slower time to kill on someone with 3 plates than SMG-B will on someone with 3 plates. So which SMG do I use?
Yeah. Depends
how many plates people are going to have. The armor vest is a disaster. And Metaphor didn't say anything about it. The tweet replies, I didn't say anything about it. The blog posts that have since been made about MW or Warzone 2, I have not seen anything about it. I have not seen anything about it anywhere being tweeted, and I find it very bizarre. And my biggest hope, there are two things I'd be happy with. I'd most happy with take it out of the game, have everyone just start with 3 plates. At least the capacity for 3 plates, like Warzone 1. Option 2, make them make them as common as a self-res in Warzone 1 in Season 5.
Yeah.
And then also make them buyable at buy stations for fairly cheap. If they're super easy to get, like an armor plate bundle, fine. I guess we can have armor vests. And then you can just assume everyone's going to have 3 plates. That's okay. But if they're as rare as even like a satchel, I think this is really bad. And satchels aren't that rare. But they're rare enough to where if that was the propensity of armor vests, I think it'd be really cringe and really bad. And it's just more RNG dog shit. Like, imagine losing a fight because you didn't loot an armor vest. Like, what did you do wrong there? What did you do wrong there? Just so dumb. It's super dumb.
Yeah, since we heard about this from Tom's leaks and we talked about it with him, I think we all said that from the start. This is a terrible system. I don't understand why they would do this. Again, so much RNG. I feel like this will be reverted, honestly. I feel like everyone will go back to either having, whether it's 2 plates in this game or 3 plates in this game. This just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what most of the guys that played the game said about it. I didn't watch most of their videos, but the ones I watched, I didn't notice them really saying much about the armor vest system. But yeah, I think it just adds... Imagine like the first thing a guy picks up is that. So he's going to win that first gunfight, those first gunfights against everyone else that doesn't have one, like literally every single time. It's just, and you already have to, go off of like the random ground loot and everything. I just don't see the purpose in having this as a prime example. Again, making a change because you want to make changes, which is fine. Make changes to the game, please. But this in no way does it improve a single goddamn thing of my video game experience. It makes it only worse in every conceivable way.
Exactly.
So I think this will end up getting reverted. Even if we get this on launch, I mean, this is something easy they could fix that I could definitely see a lot of pushback against, and then them changing this. Because yeah, I certainly don't want it. I don't know of anyone that would want the system in the game. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably right actually. Because I'm worried because like no one's pushing back on it that I've seen. But once the game launches, if there are still armor vests and they're not common enough, there will be an uproar. People will figure this out. So yeah, you're right. If this is a problem, it'll get fixed. So I think it's kind of, yeah, I think you're right. On that, but yeah.
Yeah. So my next point here, after playing Modern Warfare 2, the early weapon meta is going to be very, very interesting. One thing I do wish, honestly, is that the big YouTubers and shit didn't exist when the game launches. Because when Warzone launched, we had weird metas. People talked about good guns. But it was nothing to the extent that it's become now. Or to what it has now become when it comes to like these meta gun loadouts. Like literally it's going to be unfortunate. I can already picture it now. Going to be playing this new game. It's going to feel fresh. Within 3 days, half of the lobby will be using the same exact meta gun setup because one of these guys figured it out through all the stats and everything. They said, oh, here's a meta gun to run. We're not going to see another goddamn thing in the video game, which is going to suck. Because when something's new, it's nice to like experience it. I mean, going into Warzone, we had no idea what to run when Warzone 1 launched. Totally up to us. Weird, stupid gun setups. You saw people running all sorts of things. You know, now it's already Season 5 Reloaded came out at 9 a.m. There's already a meta that everyone's using, even though they balance 40 different guns. It's just not fun anymore. I don't care now in the current Warzone, but it's going to ruin the Warzone 2 launch for me. I already know it. It's going to make it so uninteresting because everyone, including me, is going to have to be running the same gun because something is going to be so much better than everything else. And instead of people figuring that out over time, over a few weeks, a month, that's going to be set within literally days of launch, within the week of launch.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to piss me off. But, you know, obviously we didn't get close to the amount of total attachments as the full game will have. But just from playing Ground War, every gun had so much recoil when it comes to having a long-range optic on that it's going to be very weird this year. And then, you know, you talking about the armor plate system with the snipers, again, could lead into a terrible system if we have that armor vest, because I think snipers are going to be like a really, really strong gun on rip that people will be running. Because there's no way they make it so that these guns that have you can put every recoil attachment on it in Ground War, you cannot control the recoil at, you know, past 50 meters on those things.
Yeah.
They go all over the place. It's going to be interesting because your guns are going to have a little bit lower recoil maybe, but then fucking horrible mobility, something like that, because of the 5 attachment system. It'll be interesting to go back to that, but I have a feeling that off the rip, snipers are going to be insanely overpowered, and that's what everyone's going to be running because guns won't be good at range. So if we have an overkill 2-class setup, everyone's going to have a sniper, everyone's going to have an SMG, snipers are going to go back to one-shotting people, and the sniper in the beta is absurd. Its refire rate is instant, ADS is fast enough, has a high zoom level. There were already a bunch of people running that in COD Next, getting one-shot snipes from across the map, by the way. So I don't know if those guys had 2 or 3 plates, but they're one-tapping people all the time. So certainly seems like that's back in.
Yeah. Dude, another thing about snipers too, this won't matter for very long, but it's something to keep in mind. The best possible gun you can use in Warzone, if you can't have any attachments on it, is definitely a sniper. Like, you can play a game right now of Warzone 1 with an HDR with 0 attachments and pretty easily win the game. It doesn't need attachments, really. Like, it comes with the zoom optic and it's still a sniper, you know. You definitely want attachments on it, obviously. It makes it way better and way easier to use. But you don't need any attachments on it. You cannot say the same for pick an AR, pick an LMG. Like, a UGM with no attachments is you're never winning a game. But an HDR or a ZRG or something, you can absolutely win. Another question I have, by the way, but again, like I said, that won't matter because people are going to have max level guns inside of a week. How's the minimap going to work in Warzone 2? Because in Warzone 1, oddly enough, you show up on the minimap if you're shooting a gun without a silencer. But you don't in MW19 multiplayer. Are they going to bring that philosophy to Warzone? Should they bring that philosophy to Warzone? We have no idea. I could totally see this going either way.
Didn't red dots show up on minimap when firing in Warzone 2?
Did they?
I thought they did.
That would make sense.
I opened up a video.
Okay.
Try to watch through, see if I can figure that out. Ground War. It was also hard though, because I remember AI showed up on the map when they would fire, so I'm not gonna know half the time if these are.
What are you looking at, Ground War or Warzone?
Warzone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know what would be. But I'm pretty sure they did show up.
You should, right? Yeah, I think you should. I think you should need a silencer if you want to stay off minimap in Warzone 2.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. Which would make sense because it's like Warzone 1. I could also see them not doing that because it would be like multiplayer. Like, I could see them going either way, but
exactly.
But hopefully you do show up without a silencer.
Oh, another change that I forgot to mention that I saw Metaphor tweet out also was that he didn't state specifics, but there are changes coming to the Gulag. Didn't say what, but he said there's going to be a lot of changes to the Gulag system.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So I don't know. Now someone shot right next to this guy and they didn't show up on the minimap.
Could have been a silenced gun, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know because he didn't go over him to like loot him. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I thought they did show up though. I'm pretty sure they did. Because I saw people talking about that when it came to multiplayer versus Warzone. That like, well, Warzone 2 had dots in the minimap. Why does Warzone have it and not multiplayer? Blah blah.
Yeah. So on the topic of like using ARs and shit long range and how that might be way more difficult. I don't know if that's going to be true because like, again, the highest level we could get was like 21 for a weapon. And you can imagine running, I don't know, a Cold War AK at level 21 in Warzone. How good could you make that? Not very. And then if you got it max level, it's like a different fucking gun. I think that's probably going to be the case on launch even for Warzone 2. And honestly, I think the guns are going to have as little recoil as they did for Warzone 1, as they do for Warzone 1 at launch. And if not, again, like Tanner and I both said, they'll make them have little to no recoil, but by season 1, probably. So I don't know how that's going to work. I think the long range meta isn't really going to depend on how much recoil ARs have, because I think it's a foregone conclusion they won't have much. I think it's going to depend on, yeah. They're going to make, if you can't like beam people from 3,000 meters anymore, everyone's going to lose their minds. I think
I disagree.
People are gonna,
I don't think most people like that aspect of Caldera. Most people, that's what it's become. I don't think the majority of people want that.
This way.
Not how it was when Warzone launched, though. The guns had still way more recoil than they do now. Less zoom and more recoil. I mean, it was like an M4 sort of meta with the VLK.
Less zoom, definitely.
You could torch people fairly easily at like 100 meters still, but like nothing like how it is now. And that's kind of the thing that I've been thinking is, I don't know how this is going to work because Raven has not developed Warzone 2. They were not developing alongside Infinity Ward whatsoever. So I don't know at what point, I don't think anyone knows, will Raven take over Warzone, if ever. Very well, we could have Infinity Ward having total control of the game for the next 2 years, for the next year. Raven will obviously be helping like patch things, I'm sure, here and there, but versus now where they make all the decisions on what to do with Warzone, they're not going to be in that role for anymore, and we don't know how long it's going to be. I would say it's at minimum 6 months before Raven would be involved doing anything drastic other than like bug fixes and like whatever Infinity Ward basically tells them to do. I think that's what they're going to be, is that they're going to be a smaller support studio versus the main studio, which we've always pretty much known, but it's been interesting today with the Season 5 Reloaded update with Warzone. Every Warzone dev I follow on Twitter has been saying things like bittersweet, like Warzone 1 is coming to an end, like it's been a treat to work on this game. And it's like, obviously the way they've worded everything, none of them have said anything like, all right, now on to Warzone 2. It's just been like bittersweet, Warzone 1's coming to an end. Like, thank you guys so much for playing the game and letting us, make these changes, blah, blah, here and there. And none of them ever said a goddamn thing about like the future going forward, which, really makes you realize that they're not going to be the main focus. And so the point with that is there was more recoil in the game when Infinity Ward was in charge. There was a lot more. They were definitely not better at everything than Raven, but in terms of like having things Vanguard, like recoil, we certainly had that in the game. So it's obviously Infinity Ward will have total control or primary control.
Kilo did not have recoil. And that was meta for a very long time. And the Bruin
still had more recoil than all the meta Vanguard ARs, though. That zoomed in 6 times.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But also, those guns didn't have recoil in multiplayer. Look at where the guns are at right now from the attachments we've used. Every gun has way more recoil in multiplayer than they did in Modern Warfare multiplayer 2019. That's the other thing, too. Yeah,
that's true. But we also don't... There's going to be an ACR or a Kilo equivalent. Mm-hmm. It might not have been in beta, but it's going to be in the game.
Yeah.
So I think it'll probably look... I think you're right, though. I think it'll probably look I think the long range meta is going to look a lot, hopefully, honestly, and this would be a good thing, because we can't expect the guns to just have like a lot of like Tarkov recoil. That's never happening. So if they're going to have any amount of recoil, I think a long range AR meta that looks like season 3 of MW 2019, where we had the Kilo, like the Grau,
AMAX,
and the AMAX, exactly, as like the big guns. I don't know if I think the Grau was better when it came out. Whatever. But even if you just juxtapose Kilo versus AMAX, which was like those were the big two for a very long time. I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Because they both had more recoil than Vanguard ARs do. You're absolutely right about that. And also, again, and this is something I've talked about a million times, you could, if you're like a good player who controls recoil, an AMAX is just better. If you're hitting all your shots, the AMAX is a better gun. It had a faster TTK. But the Kilo was still super viable, and it was definitely better in some cases. If someone's really far away, you might not be able to kill them with an AMAX at that range, but you could with a Kilo. So I think that is going to be something like what we're going to see. Ideally, best case scenario, there are like 2 archetypes, you know? And we sort of saw this in Cold War when we had like the EM2 versus like, I don't know, Cold War AK. EM2 killed just so fast, but it was harder to use. So we had something like that, you know? And then Vanguard, we lost all of it. So I think that is probably what we will see, and that would be pretty welcome. But again, my question is, how are snipers going to work? Let's assume guns are going to have the same effective range as a Kilo or an AMAX. So the meta optic will zoom about as much as a VLK, and with that amount of zoom, the guns will have about as much recoil as the Kilo / AMAX in those 2 archetypes or whatever. Then it's good. Then the question is, okay, what are the snipers going to be like? So are they going to one-shot headshot? I think they probably will at any range, honestly. They might have a marksman rifle category and those don't, but everything in the sniper category does, which I don't think is the case, right? It's not the case in Warzone 1 anymore. And then the questions are going to be mainly the question's going to be, what is the flinch like on these snipers? Oh, yeah.
I haven't noticed how it was in multiplayer. Did you ever notice how the flinch was?
No.
I didn't use the sniper enough
but I don't think it would have mattered. Yeah. That thing probably flinched a lot, but it's like, I don't know. That maybe it would have mattered. Like, it wasn't like a car, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't the fast sniping archetype gun. It was super fucking slow ADS. So I think it would have flinched a lot, but I don't think that would have told us anything.
Yes, but I think basically people that want a very similar experience to current Warzone 1, I don't think we're going to have that for a long time in Warzone 2, because that means you like what Raven has done to the game in its current state, and Raven has absolutely nothing to do with this currently before the game launches. So this is going to feel more like OG Warzone 1 on launch than anything, definitely than what it feels like now. I mean, even today, they buffed the spawn rate of tokens, Gulag tokens and redeploy tokens. They buffed them today in legendary chests. Of course they did. So they're even more common in legendary chests now. So it's like, all right, great. But yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting to see. And my last thing here, one of the last things, is when it comes to armored vehicles, we talked about this, I think, early on in Wars. Well, I guess no, we didn't actually. Will we see armored vehicles in any way in Warzone this year? Because we have way more than ever. There's like 3 different types. There's like a light APC, like a heavy APC, and then an actual tank. Did they really design all of these for like the 6 total ground war maps that we'll get that have like all these vehicles on them? Was that designed all for that? Are these going to be in DM? Yeah, but they had less also. They had less types of them.
That's true.
It was like just APCs. So, these would obviously ruin DMZ. So are these going to also be in Warzone of some sort? I doubt it, but that's something we need to think about and be a little worried about as well. Maybe you'll be able to complete a stronghold and it drops a fucking tank out of the sky for you, man. Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, so I doubt it, but I haven't seen anyone talk about that, so that's kind of something
If there
need
are
to be
tanks in
prepared for.
Warzone, I think the only way you balance them is you make them take your launcher ammo, which you can only hold like 6 of.
Oh yeah.
Even that would be insane, and don't add the tanks to Warzone. But if they did, that would be, I think, the best way they could balance it. But don't add tanks to Warzone. Of course not. Yeah. But I am a little worried too. I'm worried as well, because one thing we don't have in Warzone 1 at all. Well, no, we do. I guess the helicopters shoot guns. But besides that, nothing else shoots weapons in Warzone 1. But we have confirmation in Warzone 2. There will at least be that boat that has a mounted gun on it.
Yeah.
So there will be vehicles with mounted guns on them in Warzone 2 for sure. And then the question is it only the boat? How good's the gun gonna be? If the gun is as good as the helicopter guns in Warzone 1, I think I'm probably fine with that, because those guns are dog shit. However, actually, no, never mind. I take that back, actually, because if you were that close, if you're on the ground shooting someone else on the ground, that helicopter gun is fucking really good, actually.
Yeah.
The only reason it feels dog shit is because you're in the air, usually, shooting at something. So hopefully it's even worse than the helicopter gun, actually, because you're going to be shooting people way closer than the helicopter gun was. So will it be worse? Don't know. Really solid question, though, actually. But if those are only on boats, whatever.
Yeah.
But if there are other vehicles, if there's like a Warthog, you know, like a Halo Warthog, well, now I'm a little worried. And they might have added fuel as a balancing mechanism and like tire damage and shit. But good players are going to be able to fill up their tanks and their fuel tanks and repair tires in 2 or 3 seconds.
Dude, what if we run out of gas all the way out in the ocean? What do we do?
I mean, just yeah, swim. Yeah, get fucked. I'm gonna say, I mean, if something is good, people are gonna get really good at using it. Like we saw that with recon contracts.
Yeah.
Recon contracts, they were like, they're a neat idea. None of the devs considered the implications of what if someone who's really good at the game exploits this to the maximum advantage they can by 4 people landing on 4 separate choppers, camping each contract and knowing final circle inside of 5 minutes. What do we do in that case? Like, should we design this contract in that case? The devs just simply didn't see that possibility. I don't think they would have added recons, or they wouldn't function like they did if they, before they created the contract, got to see into the future and watch Iron, OP Marked, and Shaded Step and whatever Magnificent do that and win 45 games in a row easily. They would have been like, okay, wait, this thing's kind of too strong. The potential is too high. Even though 99% of players are never going to do that, some of them will. And then it's going to be unfun for everyone else. And I don't even blame the devs for not seeing that when they added recon contracts, honestly. If I was designing that contract, I don't know if I would think of it either. But like if there are land-based vehicles that shoot mounted 50 cals that have unlimited ammo that work on like an overheating system like the helicopter guns do, that are decent guns, that are equivalent to the MW 2019 guns, you might think having fuel tanks and having tires being blown out, etc., are sufficient balancing mechanisms, but you need to remember, really good players are going to find the best possible thing they can do to win, and they're going to practice it, they're going to get really good at it, and they're going to memorize every gas station, they're going to know exactly how long they can drive and what routes they can take without running out of fuel. They're going to have meta repair strats. They're going to just dominate Warzone with these vehicles.
Yeah.
Now, also, again, if these were a huge problem, they would just nerf them. But on the other hand, they didn't nerf armored Berthas. Those are still entirely too good in Warzone 1. They didn't nerf recon contracts. Those are entirely too good in Warzone 1. So, oops, I don't know. I'm a little worried. But if it's only the boats, I'm not that worried because there's not enough water on the map for that to be like a recon. The recon strat you can do in every game.
Yeah.
But if the boats are the only things with guns and the guns are entirely too overpowered, you won't be able to exploit that every single game because most of the time the circle won't be on the water and then you're good. And then we don't have to worry about it. So I don't know. I'm worried. It'll depend on if there are land-based vehicles and how good the guns are, you know?
Yeah. And my last thing on that note, I'm not worried at all about the water anymore. I use the water mechanic in Ground War. I mean, you can't stay underwater forever, obviously. You'll die. You can't shoot your primary underwater. You can, however, come to the surface and use your primary gun when you're, like, floating in the water. Both of your guns. So, I don't know. It could be kind of interesting. Set up a little ambush on an armored boat. You and your little squad all under the water. Then all of a sudden you guys pop up and all fire a fucking rocket. That could be
nice
pretty
TikTok,
funny.
Yeah.
That could be pretty funny. But yeah, I'm not at all worried about the water. And I think since we're not used to having it, we've never like had water like this, I don't think it'll be utilized much on launch. I feel like people will just stick to land and not even think about going in the water. If this had been like OG Warzone and there was water right away, it'd be a different story. But since we've never had it, I don't think you're going to see too many issues arise from it.
I'm not worried about the water because I'm worried that being in the water is going to be a good thing. I'm worried for the exact opposite reason, which is kind of like what you were saying, that being in the water is going to be fucking terrible. Yeah, because it will be. For every reason you just mentioned. You don't want to be in the water. So the reason I'm pissed that there's water in the game is because sometimes you're going to be forced into the water. If I'm on the right side of the river and you're on the left side of the river and the circle pulls to the left side of the river, I have to cross the river now. So now I have to swim. And you don't want to be in the water, and that sucks. I am with you, though. I'm not that concerned about this. Just because it's not going to affect me every match. In fact, hopefully, and this is subject to change. It's going to depend a lot on what the circles are like and shit. But hopefully, it's just there isn't water that's relevant. In most matches, in most like endings or whatever, and then I won't really care that much. The way I am thinking of the water now is exactly how I'm thinking of, oh god, what was it called? The original Verdansk map on the northern end. What was like at the top?
Quarry?
Like that north fire station. No, wait. No, above
North
that. More north.
You're talking about up by military base, like to the northwest, like to the west of military base by that?
Yes, west. Yeah, right. Yeah, by the fire station up there. So there were times in Warzone 1 when you would be below that huge fucking rock face and you're getting held by people on top of it. And then the next circle's coming and it's either going to pull to you and you're chilling, or it's not, and you just automatically lose the game.
Oh, on that big mountain up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
And that was really dumb and annoying, and I still don't like that they had that feature of the map in Warzone 1 in Verdansk. However, it really wasn't an issue very often at all. That probably happened to me 4 times. Where I like lost a game automatically because I was just in gas and I literally couldn't get up. And okay, cool. I lose, I guess. Smile, 6 circle pull. But again, like that probably happened to me like 5 times, 10 max. And I treat water in a similar way, where it's like, hopefully, it's going to happen to everyone listening. By the way. Where a circle's going to pull across water and the other people that are already on the other side know you're there, and you will die while swimming because you have no choice. And you're going to say, God damn it, why is there water in this game? Hopefully, though, it just doesn't happen that often. And I think based on the map, it won't happen that often. So whatever.
Yeah.
The reason I was originally concerned was before we saw the map. And then we heard there was water. And then I was like, okay, well, if there's some big fucking lake in the middle, then this is going to happen a lot. And then I will lose my mind. But it doesn't look like that'll be the case.
And yeah, and from what we saw at COD Next, the circle in those games never even pulled down into the water at all. So it may be coded to just not be in there at all.
Which they have the capabilities to do. That's true too.
Yeah.
That's a great point also, actually. We know that they can change where they want the circle.
And there will be dog shit circles.
If we've ever
on launch.
played, they'll all be terrible, yeah. If we've ever played Warzone, we know that that's true. But they also just had plainly said it recently for Caldera. They said, oh, we're adjusting. Circle endings will happen less often at peak now. They said it in a blog post. So that's confirmation that they can change the propensity of where circles end. And I think they'll just keep it away from water. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not that worried about it either.
Agreed.
So, yeah. All right, that's it. Fuck toys. Let us know your thoughts, and let us know primarily. I'm very interested in your guys' feedback, in your ideas on if there are going to be loadouts with perks in Warzone 2. How the fuck's that going to work? Are we going to get bonus and ultimate perks or not? And if we are, how? What are your theories? Let us know. Thanks for watching and listening. Stay humble.
Stumble.